Yeah,
All
this
right.
morning when that squall hit, I thought, no way.
I know. Welcome, everyone. This is our first class. It's going to be with Sir Bumi, who has a wonderful background and helps people with lots of physical things professionally as well. I know I could use more stretching all the time, like everyone else, and I thought this would be a great start. So we're just in the midst of starting everything up. Give us a few minutes, and we'll give people time if they want to come up. But we'll have classes again for all week, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone. All right. No, we'll keep going. We're just going to run it. So.
Post that or.
Oh yeah, I have to cross post that. Yep. I'm running it live on our page right now. So, and then I'll cross post on mine. There we go.
Part of the tent policy.
Oh, I see.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Just to keep it from.
No, I get you. Pulling. That's a.
Perfect. Just enough to keep it up so it's not all bumping in there.
I just want more light.
This is us working.
Oh, open is fine. We just they don't want to sit on the ground.
Let's get it back in maybe this corner.
This side should be okay because we didn't open it up.
Do people end up posting questions?
We're not covering questions. This is just this is go.
Solid for...
Yeah, it's fine. Nope,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
no, it's solid. It's good. Let's see what I can see if I can cross post this onto my page. Although you know what, we're just gonna leave it here. It's fine. I'm not worried about getting crazy. This is all gonna be recross posted onto online on our YouTube page. Sonny, do we want to try to do this? This is raining.
No.
Want to start out here? Not great. Probably 75 or something.
Did you say you're a C?
You tell me when.
All right. Let's go ahead.
All right. If everybody could circle up for me, please. For those who don't know me, my name is Bumi. I am a Shiv as well as a mod out of Atlantia. And first and foremost, this is for everybody here. I am not a medical doctor. This is not, I'm not licensed practicing. To ever get that conflated because that's an important thing for people in my eyes. So, that's number one. All right. Other than that, I teach mobility as a profession. I've done it for the last many years, and I apply it both in my mundane life, doing the sports that I do, as well as into the SCA life and so forth. I genuinely believe in what I teach and what I show, and I'm always trying to refine it and better myself with my own education, because I want to allow people to essentially be able to do what they enjoy doing for longer through the work that they put in on their bodies. So that's what we're going to do here today. All that said, I'm happy to answer questions along the way. So if you have any, let me know. If you have any after you want to talk to me one-on-one, that's fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of warming up today together. We're going to stretch a little bit, and I'll be talking about some important points along the way. All right? Good. Yeah. Whoever wants to join, welcome to join up. So, because I'm on the calendar for tomorrow at noon, I'm going to divide it up into lowers and uppers. And I think what I'm going to do, as sword humans, we all use a ton of shoulder, but I will cover that a little bit more in depth tomorrow. So for today, what I'd like everybody to do is to, one more asterisk before we go.
Yeah.
Do things to the best of your ability, but don't push yourself to injury. All right. So if you need a progression or a regression, I'll go over those as we go. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that you can always make it harder, you can always make it easier. Pick the level that is appropriately challenging as we're warming up. So all we're going to do is get our blood flowing. I'll let everybody get into a split squat stance, something like this. I'm going to do it without my hands. Just kind of a sub out. Yep. Your goal is to square out your hips to the ground, maybe on an active back toe, and we're just going to do a lunge down as far as you reasonably can. What I tell clients is to look for your front heel staying on the ground. Basically as far as you can, while your front heel stays on the ground, and when you drive up, pushing off your heel, come up, use a posterior chain. All right? So we're going to go, this is just for demonstration purposes, but I would like everybody to go 5 per side. Okay. Nice and slow and controlled. Listen to your own balance. Listen to your ankle, at what point that you want to end up on your toe. Listen to your back toe. Maybe that active toe isn't very happy with you right now as you're warming up. go ahead 5 aside at your own speed. I'm just looking around at ahead, folks, kind of seeing how people move, how they can move, what is good, what is bad. I'm gonna take off all my regalia.
I
don't want to.
Yeah, you got 6 months on that hip, so you get a lot.
I had double hip replacements. The
God.
new one's
Recently.
6 months for the last one.
Okay. Yeah. That's the ability
Last
to,
one
right?
doesn't like you so much.
yeah. That's all right. All of this stuff is going to be to the level that you are able. All right. Because the goal here is just to start to understand a little bit more about how to approach listening to your body. That's what I care about for everybody today. And all this is doing is just getting the blood flowing to your legs. That's all we're doing. All right. So, next thing to do, I want to have everybody do a forward fold. I want everybody like semicircle a little bit, in front a little bit. Yeah, so just so I can see everybody in front of me. I can talk to a semicircle as opposed to a full circle. Less turning and pulling. Yeah. So, next thing we're gonna do a forward fold. I'd like everybody to stand about shoulder width apart. Not super important right now. But what I want you to do is to bend over as best you can, hinging at your hips. I would like you to attach to your own legs, whether it's the calves or you can hug your legs, whatever it is, with a bent knee. All right. And from here, what we're gonna do is just straighten one leg by engaging your quad and relax. And straighten the other leg, engage your quad and relax. Back and forth, 5 apiece. You have to straighten that leg, and listen to where it stretches. Is it all in your hamstring? Is it in your calf? Is it somewhere else? Adductors, abductors. Maybe it's your low back from setting up for the last several days. And everybody up for me, please. Next, engaging your quads, keeping your legs very straight, hinging again at your hips. I want you to reach toward the ground. This time, engaging your abs, your hip flexors, intentionally reaching toward the ground, and holding for 10. Now, keeping those legs as straight as you can get them, squeezing those quads. Again, listening, is it in your hamstring, is it in your calf, or is it somewhere else? Is it in your back as you are stretching? And up for me, please. All right. Raise your hand if you felt that in your hamstring. It could be multiple hands. Raise your hand if you felt that in your calves. A little bit. Raise your hand if you felt that somewhere else. Adductors, low back, that sort of thing. All right. So we got hamstring focusing. That's perfectly all right. So we're gonna do a little bit more work on the hamstring together. Let's have you get into a staggered stance like so. Just a mild staggered stance. I like to engage that front leg, and we're once again going to try to line up that front toe forward as best you can, like straightening this back leg, and you're going to hinge at your hips, feeling that hamstring stretch up the front leg. Bent back leg, straight front leg. Doing these before. I'm just going to hold. We're going to go about 30 on that front leg. Gentle pressure. And it's really hinging at your hips, making this angle here at your hip smaller. That causes more stress. Again, straightening that front leg. Excellent. And the other side, please. Moving for about another 30. Again, a short stagger stance. Squeezing that front quad. And hinging at your hips. You should feel that back rotation light on that front. Again, trying to stay as straight as you can on that front leg. Squeezing that quad. And up. All right. Looking around, it gives me a good idea of who can do what off the bat. So, as fighters, all of you have observed other people's fighting, how they walk in the field, the gear, the loadout, how well they walk, how well they move, and so forth. It's not much different in diagnosing one of your own movement patterns. Although it's good to have a coach to kind of take a look and give outside advice for that. So, looking around, one of the things I want to highlight is this. Your body is an interconnected grouping of rubber bands, essentially, right? So when I say interconnected, what I mean is you might have lower back pain when you lay flat on the ground, but that could have nothing to do with your lower back, and it could be your hamstrings, oftentimes, or your calves, or some combination of something else. And it's your muscle fiber that really has the potential to stretch, right? Those are your rubber bands. Versus your ligaments, which are structural, they don't really stretch, they have very low blood flow, they're meant to be stable. And your tendons at the end of your muscles, like calf, have some stretch, but really it's that muscle fiber, really big muscle fiber. So we do 2 things to them in terms of stretching. We do passive stretching, an active stretching. For those of you who haven't heard those terms, it simply means this. I'll give a demonstration this way. When we sword fight, when we throw a cut, doesn't matter which hand, we deliver a cut by bending the wrist in this direction. So for me, you'll notice this is not 90, right? I spend a lot of my time grappling, which is doing this. When you're choking somebody, you're constantly doing this as it's taught. So this side is very strong compared to this side. So I want everybody to hold up their sword arm, their primary sword arm, and just take a look. Try to bend this back. See, can you make a 90? Or are you far from it? And then going to the other side from the place. You can see if it feels bad one side or the other, right? Usually people feel good here, but usually not so much here. Does that make sense? So a passive stretch is this. If you want this side to be better, you're gonna passively add pressure. I'm adding external force to this, right? I'm not pulling with my own muscles. I am using something else outside. This can be done in any number of ways. I can have my hands against the wall, on the ground. I could be working my wrists in this direction, or I can just use my hand and help things, right? That's passive stretching. Makes sense? Relax. Yep. You're doing passive stretching. Do about 30 seconds of a hold, and then do a couple of sets. Compared to active stretching. Active meaning you're going to use the muscles here to pull that hand back. So I want everyone to do this for me, please. Put your hands in front of you like so. Flare your fingers out. Now pull your fingers back towards you as hard as you can. We'll go 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax. How many people feel a burn? Whoa. Right? It might be a little bit, depending on how strong you are in that direction. But for me, it's a massive burn right away on top. Because my rubber bands here are so tight that it's easy to do this. But it's not easy to do this. And I need the active ability to go back. Yes?
That burn's different from lockout in the bones.
Say it one time.
I'm feeling lockout in the bones.
yes.
I'm not feeling the...
Yes. That's a very good point. There are, so we all have different variances in our build, and sometimes there are also traumatic injuries that happen. I know people who ride motorcycles a lot, who end up with injuries in their wrists and in their ankles. And what happens if you feel bone on bone, and that's the end of it, there are ways to work around that, but you're not going to go past the structural bone versus the elasticity of being able to kind of stretch out the front of your arm. And that is something to be aware of. That's an
Power
accent.
of the hips.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it. You listen to your body like, oh, is it actually like I'm grinding to a halt literally? Or is it just my muscles are tight and I can feel the stretch? All of this practice is being introspective about your body. It's really choosing to listen to your body in the way it's moving in a given moment. And be able to monitor it day to day. Gathering data from inside of our own minds. So, the reason I bring up the active and passive stretching is simply this. When I do this, and I see how I can get almost a 90. What it tells me is I have the potential to bring my hand forward, but I don't have the strength to bring my hand here when I throw a shot. Right, so for me, I give out my elbow, give somewhere else, right, to make that happen, that alignment. Ideally, with a little bit of a drop. The reason I bring that up is you have to know whether you can passively get there to extend your range of motion, or if it's the active strength of going into a particular motion. That's the issue. But you really ideally need both. Right? So that is one thing I want everyone to take away: active and passive stretching to gain mobility, and then the strengthening in those end ranges of motion. Come on, yeah, great. All right, next. I want everyone to do that forward fold one more time. All right. And so this is how we're going to do. This is going to be a little bit different from everybody, so don't copy my posture. I want everybody to stand roughly medium width, but your goal is this. I want you to reach down and find a spot where you can touch the ground. So you might be a little bit wider, you might be a little bit narrower, but I want you to at least be able to touch your fingertips to the ground. And that's the goal. Where it's like difficult to touch your fingertips to the ground. If there isn't a spot where we can talk about that as well. Alright? And everybody up. So here's how we make this appropriately different. If this is where I am, this is, oh man, this is difficult for me to touch my fingertips here. This is exactly what I'm looking for. But if it's like, oh, this is really easy, get my fingertips down. Make this upright myself a little bit more, make this line a little bit taller, and try again. Okay, this is very easy. Okay. Oh, it's very easy. Let me go wide again, and I'm gonna go to my second knuckle. Just pick a spot, right? And here we are. Okay, this is good. So we're gonna go in a little bit more. This is good. Go in a little more. This is good. All right. Let's try progressing this some more. All right. So I'll widen my stance again. Get my hands to the ground. Okay, I can do this. Great. Let me shorten my stance Can I get my hands to the ground? Great. This is excellent. And then I continue narrow and narrow. I can't get my hands to the ground. The reason I went to this demonstration is simply this. Stretching, just like any other activity, you need what's called progressive overload. Essentially, your body will adapt to the stressors you put on it. And I believe a lot of times people think of stretching or associate it as a gentle kind of thing that you're doing in your body, not an intense thing as it should be, which it should be to get the progress that you want. Like for instance, when we lift weights in a gym, you have plates and you add resistance over time. That's how you make progress. Just a little bit more resistance week over week, session after session, whether it's reps, right, time under tension, or whether it's the actual resistance. So in the same way, if you feel like, okay, I am a mid stance, first knuckle person, your goal over the next week is, can I get another foot within and still do this? And if I can do that, can I do it again? Another foot within. No. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Your goal is to progressively overload. Don't just be like, okay, I'm here, this is nice, okay, all right, I've stretched now, we're good to fight. You really do want to check and progress with intensity, not just, I'm here, this feels a little bit good, right? That's how you make that progress. And that's something I think a lot of folks don't necessarily grab a hold of or taught as they're learning. So, intensity, passive and active stretching. Right, those are two things we're going to talk about. So we're going to do a little bit of intensity stretching together. So I want everybody to find a spot where they find it difficult to touch the ground for 10 seconds, wherever it is, right? And whether it's palm to the ground, knuckles to the ground, fingertips, if your fingertips aren't there, you might have to go super extra wide just to get your fingertips there. That's okay. So it's wherever you start. And just hold for 10 seconds and relax. We'll do 3 cycles. You're counting 10. Let's go 10 Pennsics in your head and then relax. 10 Pennsics in your head, relax. Do 3 cycles away. And it should feel intense. The backs of your legs should be saying, I hate you, this sucks, right? This is not fun. Do what? Too fat. Oh,
whatever.
No, the limiting.
Yeah, physical block. Yeah, I've so that variant that we did earlier, the single leg, is a very good way to kind of work it out. There's many different ways to do the same thing. But too bad. I can see, right? Where it's like, there it goes. Look at that. It's getting deeper. I'm watching everybody progressively get deeper. I know that's not what y'all are paying attention to. I want you to be looking internally, but
No, I get
what
that
that
one.
means is that tells me that the strength here, like you're at
It's a
your
xiphoid
line.
process.
Oh, or the press. Okay, got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
I got that.
You're good. Yeah, I was gonna say you're getting to the ground. That's excellent. Yeah. So active, passive, intense. So we're gonna apply those two things to the next stretch. All right. So now we're gonna go and get into this foot squat stance. I want you to drive your back heel into the ground. All right. And as you do so, you're gonna step forward as much as you need to and start bringing your hips forward. Don't let that back heel come off the ground. And I want you to feel a stretch in your upper calf. Try to keep that back leg straight. As you came forward more and more. I prefer to do this against the wall, but because we're intense, we're not going to do it. Hopefully everybody's feeling a
Back
stretch in their back calf.
Yep.
Yeah. Calf is important. Switch sides. Everybody's switching to the other side. Same deal. Driving that back heel to the ground.
Sir, feet parallel.
Ideally, you want that back leg to be a little bit the toe pointed forward, but it's okay to turn to the side. That's not a big thing. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Excellent. Hopefully everyone's feeling a calf stretch. Back to the first side for me, please. This time I want you to do it with a bent back leg. Instead of a straight back leg, where it tends to pull a little bit higher in the calf, we're going to do a bent back leg. It pulls a little bit more into your Achilles, into your soleus. It should feel a little bit different with a bent back leg when you're stretching this. And to the other side, please. Bent back leg, doing the same thing. Stretching out of. And
The heat actually in the calf still.
ideally, if it might not be. If it, yeah, if it says it is not, then you're listening to You're listening to your body saying, it's not that. That's not that. It's not a problem. We need to work that part. So I wanted to demonstrate that there is some nuance in your stretching, right? So a straight leg versus a bent leg can change a lot as far as how it stretches you, right? You're targeting different parts. So now to the toe turning question, which is really good. With my toe turned outward, most folks who are fighters, I'm going to turn that back leg to the outward. What it stretches is the opposite side fibers. As I turn my toe more forward, it turns like the fibers change. You can imagine it's completely opposite of where my shin is pointing, stretching. So you can stretch even such that your toe is pointing slightly inward and doing the same stretch, and also stretching the fibers, right? So you can imagine your calf is a part of a cylinder, and which part you're really tackling depends on the orientation of your foot compared to your hips. So know that if you need to target something in particular, you can make the bodily adjustment to find that
That's
stretch.
supination versus pronation.
No, supination and pronation are just going to be like pronation, supination. It can definitely apply to your shoulders, but not in this particular case. Yeah. All right, that was our calves. We got our hamstrings, we got our calves. Let's do next our adductors, these inside muscles here. Look everybody to stand in a somewhat wide stance. You're going to have your toes pointed out a little bit more. It's not a big deal. Right now, what I want you to do is you're going to take your hips and you're going to bring it to one side by straightening one leg and bending at the other. And you're going to take your upper body and bend toward that straight leg. Ideally, you start to feel it on the inside. There's many ways to do it. This is one of the standing ways. I'm doing everything in standing version.
Yep.
Yeah, the hip might not be able to.
I'll try the new one. Or the old one.
Yeah. And go to the other side, same deal.
Yeah, that's a nice stretch.
Well, that lean is new for me.
Yeah.
I've done this a lot, but now with the lean, I can feel that.
The lean really pulls into, and for different folks, it'll be like mid adductor versus high adductor, depending on the person.
Right up in there.
I'll get a little bit higher in just a second. Excellent. I have horribly tight adductors because in grappling, you spend a lot of time wrapping another human being with your leg loose. If you're a horse human, it's the same deal. Next, we're going to do a horseman's stance. Go ahead and turn your toes a little bit more outward. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to intentionally drive my knees outward using the muscles, my glutes, my abduction. And then from there, after my knees are being driven outward, I'm going to relax. So for everyone, we're going to do 30 seconds. And what I want you to do is to, on your exhale, it might feel like your high groin is going to rip apart, but I want you to choose to relax now. This is passively letting gravity pull into that high groin. Hopefully everyone feels it should be a little bit higher than where your adductor stretching was. You can see how much people can do external rotation, right? By how wide or how straight this line is. If you look around, some people can have a more narrow angle, versus some people are able to open up wider. It kind of depends. That's another form of stretch. And back. Is that high groin for everybody, roughly? Or is that somewhere else?
That's picking up right in here.
Okay.
That one I'm feeling limited by my armor being in the way.
There you go. Yeah. Those things to pay attention to as well. Absolutely. All right. So we've got adductors, abductors, high groin. Let's get into your. Let's get into your quads. This is going to be a little bit harder because of the circumference leg. I'm going to show a couple different ways. I'm going to do it myself. You can do it if you wish. It's going to get a little bit muddy, so we'll get on the ground, or we can do it against the post. We can do it against the post.
That's fine. We can turn it around and then shoot you on the post.
Everybody,
If people want to go in there and do it on the ground, that ground is a little drier and there's some space in there.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
And there's some other posts against the back wall. Yeah, move. Here, I'll move that stuff.
So, quad stretch, same deal, right? I think about your legs as two main functions. You have your posterior chain, all the stuff connecting the back, and then your anterior chain. Your anterior chain being the quads. So, for a good quad stretch, for myself, my personal favorite is going to be what we'll call a couch stretch or a wall stretch. But your goal is to take your knee, put it against the edge of what I would say a wall. We're going to get close to the knee. Your goal is to plant that front foot and drive your hips towards that back leg. And this, for those who haven't done it or haven't tried it, is very intense.
Yeah.
So we have a number of posts people can try. I'll make that available for everybody. Your first goal is to get upright. Please listen to your body. If you're like, no, there's no shot to put that knee in the corner. The way you regress it is by taking your knee and going a little further away from starting. The way you progress it is you take first your butt to the wall, then you take your back to the wall, and then you engage your abs with your low back to the wall. While you're doing this, there are going to be two things that stretch. It'll be your quad and maybe your So everybody grab post. Let me get take turns. I'll walk around there.
It helps with bare feet. Yeah, bare feet. It helps.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
The boots don't allow them to stretch.
Yeah, no worries. People who want to try, please give it a try. Yeah, the goal is simply this. We're here, right? If I find somebody I'm able to do this.
Yeah, yep.
And not die.
That's the old days. Hell, now the days are like if I can actually do this at all. Sometimes I have to just stretch this after a while. When I can't, I'm like, wow, I go straight into a cramp. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So it's like I go into that foot cramp right away. I gotta just do like a couple weeks of this.
It's intense. When I first did this, I was nowhere close to where I am now. This is when however many years ago. Maybe 6 months to get my butt.
all the way back.
And the whole time, I would put on 30 seconds, and I would go through this pain sweat. Like I would sweat from the intensity of pain. But this is also the way. This is the excellent way. You do this every day for a little bit, you'll get your butt to walk very quickly. But that's right. And they're all a little bit every day. And the goal is, the goal is eventually this, right? You can do this without exploding. You can do this without exploding.
And you can relax it almost, right?
That's the idea.
I can do that on the left side.
And all
I
of
can't
this
do that on the right
is
side.
injury prevention.
Boy, that's a bad
Yeah, more flexible.
I've never.
You can also drive the hip
Exactly.
forward.
When you drive that hip forward, you feel a lot more here in that hip flexor versus laying back. That's a little bit more quad. You can also drive that front foot, right? That heel.
He's doing a nice job.
Yeah. So that's
Holy cow.
it more feels like I'm on top.
Yeah,
You see how? Yeah.
nice job.
So, all right. One circle on back up. That would be my number one for your butt. That's a very good one. Again, it should be intense. You should feel like, oh, that was rough. Yeah. But your body adapts. Your body adapts very well. Over time, you will see that change. It'll happen relatively very quickly. Last one we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the last motion that I think matters a lot. Fighting, which is hip rotation. Everybody do this. Let's do it while standing. One of my left knee. Open it up to the outside. And we're gonna practice. This is internal hip rotation. And this is external rotation. Listen to whether it's in your low back, whether it's in your, or whether it's in this hip joint, hip socket. And you want good movement in both directions, right? You want to be able to internally and externally rotate. One of those common injuries in American football is your knee being super popular. And it's almost, it's often your MCL and ACL. And this is because you've got a giant movement who runs fast as hell, hit you, will tap you here, right? If you don't have the hip movement rotate inward and collapse, then everything here inside of your knee, if you rotate, will explode this way. Right? MCL, ACL, and in this case, right. So the reason we talk about this is there's sometimes movements that you don't know that you need to work on. This is the common ones. Right? So the ability to rotate in both directions. So for those who haven't tried it, try it on your other leg.
The balance is the issue.
Yep. So that's another one. Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, you think you're getting inside?
Yeah, as you do this, you have to feel if it's your balance of staying on one foot versus internal. And you can do this, like for me, if I'm working with somebody who's having trouble staying balanced, I'll just have them do it from a quadrant position, right? So peeing on a fire hydrant kind of position. But the idea is we can make adjustments for
Can I ask for one more now? So I have a lot, and I've known some people with this as well. Sciatica.
yes.
So what happens is it doesn't actually go into my lower back. It follows that nerve down to my calf, but it like makes me feel like I have a bad knee.
Yep.
Like limping the whole gig.
Yep.
So I have to stretch a lot.
Yes.
So love to get more stretches on that.
For sciatica, right? We talked about the body being interconnected, a series of muscles. Usually, for sciatica sufferers, there are you can either stretch out your lower posterior chain, right, and put a lot of work in your hamstrings, put a lot of work in your calves, back of your knee, and those things will allow you to relieve pressure on your low back. That's very common, especially with fighters who want to do a lot. But there are also people who tend to be upper body users. Right? If you shrug a lot, you use a lot of trap or mid back to do a lot of your work in life. That might pull upward on your low back as well, which amplifies the issue.
Okay.
For those who don't know how to stretch out your low back, it is all about hip tilt. Right? That's a separate concept. But like I said, posterior chain, anterior chain. There is what's called a pelvic tilt, right? This is me.
Interior.
If you imagine my hips being a bowl,
Interior and
when I do this is an interior pelvic tilt. I'm spilling the water out of it's a posterior pelvic tilt. Yeah. And it's just about my lower back. And so to round my lower back, I need to have a posture. I'm squeezing my glutes, I'm engaging my lower abs, rounding the lower part of my lower back. Here. This is how you do like a hollow body hold against the ground. This is how you do you curl your feet up in your hands or something. Pull your feet up. You need those muscles to activate. Very important. Yes.
Should the knees be locked out of this or slide
Um,
down?
you can do either.
Yeah, this one I don't think matters. And this is actually really important because this is almost all fundamental to movement and throwing something. You have to be careful if your hips are tilted out, then a lot of your drive tends to be towards the ground.
Yep.
So having that underneath you allows that drive to be here. It allows that chain to go, right? So it's very important. That's a big part of fighting. So that's why I really wanted to cover that.
Absolutely. That's an important one. So for those who want to stretch just your low back, I'll stand in line with groceries. My low back is feeling tired. I might just like squeeze my abs and rotate down off the I'm very much a stretch all the time. Listen, I check in with my body. Have I sat too long? Have I been driving? Have I been kind of a bum? Or have I been moving around? Am I overusing because I'm tired, fatigued, whatever? And then I'll give it a stretch. All of this, I'm doing all of this because I was given a long slot and not a short, quick, let's just leave a warm-up slot. And so I want to get into kind of the detailed knowledge of how to stretch first. So that covers all of the lower body.
That was wonderful.
Is there any questions that people have? I'm happy to go around and answer questions. If nobody has anything else, I'm going to add one last bit. When I'm looking around, especially on the one leg thing or some of the split spot stuff, if you find yourself like really struggling here, to me, one of the other things that pairs with mobility is your ability for balance. When it comes to injury prevention, you want to have very good balance because what you're doing, you can get reps in. Like I said, your body adapts to whatever you put it on. So you want to practice your balance intentionally because it prevents injury. I don't know if I don't have there's a stabilizing pad or a boxing ball, like the half yoga ball that you can stand on, any version of that. But you want to, and we can do this all together. We'll do this together. We'll do a simple balance exercise. So go ahead and stand on one foot. Excellent. Everyone switch to your other foot. You probably went to a strong one. All right. And then now I want you to lean forward. As far as you can, keep your hips square to the ground. Bend it at the front knee. If you can make it parallel, make it parallel. And then come back up. And nice control. Smooth and control. All right. Let's make it a little bit, for those who are like, oh man, that's difficult, a little bit easier, you can do the same thing, but instead of going as deep, you go a little more shallow. Right. For those who are like, oh, that was a piece of cake. Everybody who feels that way, let's go. We're going to bend forward. And now I want you to make sure you're straightening the back leg, engaging your glutes. Take a straight line from the back of your head to the back of your hip. And open up your hips. You can get it full like this guy, and then square your hips back up, and then come back. All right? And we're doing this on the ground, which is relatively solid compared to stabilizing. Just like with stretching, you need to progress. Progressive overload. Your balance should also be a progressive overload. It should be, oh, I fall off. You want some amount of falling off of whatever you're doing. You want some amount of failure. Just like you train in fighting, it's no different because you're training the reps of the next time I actually fall, I'm in the woods, I actually slide out, you have to be able to catch yourself. Or the muscles will not let you slide out. Does that make sense?
That actually, that one goes right into like a class we're doing later today about moving with your center. And that so many people have a hard time with the idea of just falling here.
Yeah.
Back.
You suck it back.
Because, and then not leaning your shoulder, keeping it perfectly straight. So keep a good posture all the time.
All right. Learning about your person is, to me, extremely important.
We've seen that.
As a fundamental for whatever activity you want to do. It doesn't really matter the activity. So balance, intensity for all of your stretching, and then remembering to stretch both passively. We haven't covered fascia release. We haven't covered a lot of topics that fucking well. I just wanted to leave you with that today.
No, this is great stuff. Thank you
so
very much.
for the attention and the opportunity. Thank you.
I look forward to tomorrow too. So everybody knows, you know, really today we're going to try to do a bunch of classes. A lot of these classes are out of armor. Their pickup fields are wide open, so you can still do stuff. And I should have said it earlier, we're going to film everything. So if you're not comfortable, duck behind the camera, do your stuff. We don't have a problem with that. We're going to try to just film this way. So if you don't want to be filmed fighting, just fight on those fields. You know, what we're trying to do is get more people out here. The more cameras going, the more they look and like, oh, they're doing cool stuff on the field. They're teaching on the field, the more people to come up. So that's a real goal. The other big piece is we're trying to send you home with fundamentals to help out and help you become better teachers, give you better drills, give you things to work on, to show people and understand. The more you understand it, the easier it is to show people. So we're going to keep adding that kind of thing. Keep an eye on our discussion group because on a discussion group today we're going to do we have some other classes popping up. People are asking to do stuff, so we're going to probably have a spear class pop up, back up. If anybody's seen the little dango maces Dark Moon uses, they're going to show how they use those, and they're dangerous as hell. I've been hit many times with them. We're going to add some of those, and they're only like 30-minute classes, but those are the kinds of things that at least leave you with something to go home with. All right? So otherwise, just have fun and get to know everybody, and we're going to go through a lot of stuff. If you have questions, we got a lot of great teachers here. I mean, obviously, you know, if you have anything like, hey, you know, I've been having this issue, go talk to them, man. This is your opportunity.
Happy to help. Yep.
You know, and there's a lot of nights out here. They did something to get it right at some point. So you know, ask questions. That's nothing wrong. Especially if you fought some of them before or you've seen them in video, like how you do that thing. So that's what we're out here for. Just trying to help all of that move along. So, all right, take a break. And what time we got?
Quarter till.
So I think we actually have a class. We're going to lay down some paint ladders. I got a real ladder, and then I think ladder class at 1 o'clock. And there's our ladder class leader. Awesome. All right, go ahead and kill it.